first time.
Assume that you all have heard of the Leprechaun films, that you're aware that he's not one of the most popular serial killer type of horror film villains or slashers around there. No, he's not one of the most popular ones. He's one of the, you'd call him in the B or C tier level of that category, but he's still got a good following for the most part. It's similar to Chucky, you know, he's small, and he's a little killer, and it's bizarre, and there's 7 films in the category of the Leprechaun films with this one character. And I'll break it down for you guys just in case you're not aware exactly of all the titles. You might be aware of some, you might have thought there was 3, but I'll lay it down for you. So there's the first one, and then there's the second one. The first one, the guy Ozzy, he swallows a coin and thinking it's chocolate, and then he wants his gold, so he's trying to kill them for it. And the people that, you know, were trying to protect Ozzy, they were trying to save up the gold to fix his head because something's wrong with it. And I think that was the plot of the first one. In the second one, there's somebody that he was going to marry his daughter, I believe, and then the guy kind of messed that deal up in some way.
You may have saved your daughter, but on me next 1000th birthday, I'll stalk your fairest offspring and claim her as me bride.
And that's the plot of that one. And then in the third one, I remember there was a casino, and there was another type of coin. It was a specific one. I don't remember exactly what it was, but somebody else gets their hand on it, and it allows them to have some level of power as well. And this guy that gets his hands on it starts to turn into a leprechaun, I think.
Hold it! No, wait, lad! What are you doing? We're brothers!
I don't think so.
And then there's number 4, where the leprechaun obviously goes into space, and these space marines have to try to stop him from marrying this one galactic princess lady that would give him superpower, and he'd be able to, like, rule the universe.
He's back. Ready for romance.
She loves me.
Ready for excitement.
This barbecue's only just begun.
Ready for murder.
That one was bonkers as hell, and it almost seemed like it was just not entirely a part of the other ones, but the other ones felt each one of them actually felt like there's no progression of instances. There's not a sense of the characters from the last film playing a real role into the second film. So each film is almost their own story of the Leprechaun entirely. And then there's the 5th one, which is Leprechaun in the Hood. I saw some of that one. I don't remember everything, but I remember there was like a flute involved. He raps in it.
I come from the land of the Irish Spring. Dublin's the place where I learned my thing. From the Emerald Isle to your place in the hood, I'm the man of green, come to do no good.
He actually spares 2 people's lives, but then they dress up in drag to try to get to him because he's got groupies now or something, and they were trying to get the pipe and kill him or something, and what, very weird.
Curious aroma.
That's the bomb right there.
The bomb? Ah, the bomb.
And then there's Back to the Hood, and I have not seen Back to the Hood, so I don't know what that plot's supposed to be. And now we're at The Leprechaun Returns. And this one takes the same approach as Jurassic World, where they ignore the other sequels, and it's supposed to be just a sequel to Jurassic Park, essentially. So The Leprechaun Returns is supposed to be a direct sequel to the first Leprechaun film, fuck the other ones, which I think was a horrible choice, because they had a great thing going there with all these different bizarre ideas in each film that was going on. You still had a following to make 6 of these films, and now you're trying to do the, oh, we're going to go back to our roots, and we're going to have some nostalgia here. And in the modern day, that is so old and annoying now, especially when most people that try to utilize nostalgia or references do not do a good job with that. Cobra Kai is one of the only ones that successfully applies nostalgia and continuation of characters and references and going back to Karate Kid. That's like the only franchise that does a good job doing that. So you guys might want to not always try to do that, especially with this type of B or C tier slasher franchise. Going back to the root, really? Not really needed. Jennifer Aniston was in the first Leprechaun film. It was one of her first films, I believe. And if she were to return for this film, maybe you could have had something here. But she doesn't. the character of Ozzy does, the guy that ate the coin before in the first one. He's back in this one. He's old. He's a little older now. It's 25 years later, and there's Jennifer Aniston's daughter is in this as well, so she's into town, and she and her friends, her sorority, which are barely a sorority, I guess, or a brand new one, are trying to go into renewable energy and some green stuff. They're trying to go green. You know, it's St. Patrick's Day, leprechauns are going green. Renewable energy, there you go. And what I thought was going to happen was that they're going to be trying to do something with like biofuel or whatever they're doing with their green energy solutions, with solar panels, whatever, that whatever they do would offset what was keeping the leprechaun from returning. Like whatever was keeping him gone, they do something with the earth that allows him to rise back up in some way, and they're them trying to do good cause something bad, and they have to deal with it. But no, instead they have the character Ozzy. He dropped his phone by this well that that the leprechaun fell down before, and he goes back to get his phone, and he hears laughing, and then water spurts out, and there's like a little bit of green in there too. It was kind of weird. And then he just starts coughing, and he's like, "Oh no, it can't be anything." And then he, pulls over, and little hands poke out of his belly, and then little feet pull out of his belly, and then a little head pulls out of his belly, and the leprechaun's like, "Daddy?" And that is leprechaun-esque, I'll give them that. And then it's quite the character that would be this silly. And they do silly things like this in the Leprechaun franchise, but this is probably one of the only instances that I was like, okay, I guess that's okay. But the way that it happened was just random. Like, so the leprechaun is back, and he gets the gold coin that was stuck in Ozzy's belly for that whole time somehow, and it didn't kill him, or he survived, whatever. It's a bizarre concept that he even swallowed a coin in the first place. That was a pretty big coin and not made of chocolate, and it would have the wrapper on it if that was the case, but I digress. But the leprechaun's back, and he states that he's more powerful the more he gets closer to his gold coins, which I thought was weird. But he also implies that killing restores some of his power too, but that, I don't know, these aren't really making that much sense. He seemed to always have a goal in mind in each of his films. As weird as they were, as bizarre as they were, they had a level of consistency where he doesn't just go walking down the street and I'm gonna kill some people because I like to kill people. No, it's usually somebody stole something from him, he's looking for an item of some kind, and people are in his way, they're not giving it to him, and then he kills them because they're in his way. If most of these people were to just simply give them what it was with no fuss, say, hey, sorry, my bad, cool, there you go, he might kill you, but there's instances where it's implied that he would let you go, but they do or say something stupid, and he ends up killing them anyway, usually. So he always had some level of consistency in that part of his character. In this one, it just seems like he wants to kill you because he wants to kill you, and I think that that's a huge downgrade. The movie comes off as very flat the entire time. It is boring. This is so boring. He does jokes. He's giggling the whole time, like he's a little witch. Which I know he has a little giggle in the first one, and there's some quirkiness to him. He's a little weird character. It's weird, but he had a level of seriousness too, where you could believe he's a character. In this one, it just seems like he's pretending to be a character, like he's trying to be something that he isn't. Like the writers, they like the first film, but they don't necessarily know how to write them, is what it comes off as to me. And it's annoying because this film, before I watched it, we looked up the ratings for the shows, like which ones are most rated, and this one is the highest rated one. It has the most positive reviews compared to the other films. And again, the other films are not good films. All of them are bad films, but they have a level of entertainment that makes them enjoyable to watch. And then there's some level of quality there still, even if they're so fucking weird. They have a level of quality there. This is obviously one of the worst qualities to it. I give Leprechaun in the Hood some credit for what it does with character and motivation and what they're choosing to do, and even though it's a weird scenario, it's so cringe. Like, there was things that worked. And the one where he's in space, there's things that worked. And in this, I think they had a great idea with like the renewable energy thing, but it doesn't connect well enough with the Leprechaun character to mean anything. It's just the thing they were doing, and then he's also here. There's one of the guys gets cut in half by a solar panel because he screwed it on wrong, and the leprechaun went bloop and used the force and shoved it down and sliced him in half. And one of the characters goes, "Do you think he's still alive?" You know, and it's like, yeah, I get this joke. I've seen it in Tremors.
Is he all right?
But he got swallowed whole, so I mean, there's more reason to assume he's alive than this one who got sliced in half. And that was a little funny in Tremors. Not even that funny. It wasn't that funny. And this is a dumb joke. There's so many dumb jokes in here that aren't funny. You know, yeah, he flips them off a little. It's okay, I guess that's something. The humor that came off in the first Leprechaun film was because he's trying to be scary as well as he's just naturally goofy. And that's what it felt like in the first one. In this one, it felt like they just think he's always goofy and he's always trying to be funny. And he does always have a lot of weird jokes, sure, I'll give you that. But I don't know, this one just didn't come off right. With the other characters, with him, the way he was interacting with them is just very mid at best. And it was just really boring to watch. At one point, they have clover juice or something that they put into him and it blows him up. And they just randomly, for no reason, two of them leave while the one's left to clean up some of it. I think they were grabbing something to help with it, but they both left. I don't know. They just needed them to be out of the room for now so that you can have this chick die herself. The leftover pieces reform into little tiny versions of the leprechaun, like Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z, and then it kills them, kind of like Ash versus Evil Dead kind of a thing. Like, it just, I don't know how much more I really need to say on this because not much else happens. I guess if I'm trying to think of any last things that's worth mentioning, they have the character Ozzy who died. He comes back and somewhat helps Jennifer Aniston's daughter, the main character in this one, to figure out how to defeat the leprechaun, to like find the gold. And I feel like this was only written here because they didn't know how else to have the characters find the gold. So they had it where Ozzy is dead, but he just randomly appears in front of the daughter. And she even asks, "Are you a zombie? Are you a ghost? What are you?" And he doesn't even know what he is. And he can't speak for some reason. But he's like able to point to her or try to, you know, describe stuff. And it's trying to be funny. And all this just seemed to be, they didn't know how to have her figure out something. So they wrote this here. And when she even asks what he is, they're just like, well, there's just no, we don't even fucking know what he is. He's just back and this is what's happening. And you're welcome. And I don't like that kind of writing, even in a goofy thing like this. It just comes off as really lazy because even the ones that have goofy solutions have some level of logic to them that they try to justify. This was just, he can just come back to life, kind of. I don't know, but he's not alive and he's not dead and he's not in between. He's not anything. He's just, we don't even know. We don't even know what to call it. He's just there. He's just there, okay? He's just there. I hate that. I hate that. There's a character that dies because he just stands still and lets the drone slice him and slice his head off. And I think that was supposed to be intentionally funny like that. Like, oh, the dummy could have just done anything else and he would have been fine. But he just stood there and let himself die. If that's supposed to be funny, it wasn't funny. It was just dumb. It's just like, yeah, he just let himself get killed. I've seen that in other films where they do that too, but they have a different tone that makes that seem more ridiculous but funny. This was just not funny. This was their attempt at humor. It was not humorous. It really wasn't. But, you know, I give them credit for, I guess, trying to go back to how it was. But again, I think that it would have been better if they did not go back to their roots. They should have continued the weird motif of them having the leprechaun in weird situations. I want to see the leprechaun fight Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or other holiday things, or have some other, have an alien or something come to Earth and they got to deal with this weird leprechaun that has like superpowers. That would be funny as hell to see the gray aliens or some other aliens, you know, dealing with, you know, oh, we're the invaders. We're trying to get something or technology here, but the leprechaun is get this magic stuff and is just like able to counter these aliens. That would be funny as shit. That'd be cool to see. That'd be funny. But anyway, you know, I digress. And that's all I got to say about it, I guess. You know, I don't recommend you watch this. This is not a fun experience. You guys have a good one.